What's going on, y'all, and happy Monday. I hope everybody out there is happy and healthy. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I want to talk about this unfortunate situation that transpired between Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, both whom were 17 years old. And from what I can gather, they both seem to be phenomenal student athletes with a 3.7 GPA. Now, the narrative that's being spun in Austin's favor is the fact that a lot of people are trying to say that he had a 4.0 GPA, but Austin's own father, Jeff, said that he maintained a 3.7 GPA. And Karmelo's father, Andrew, stated that his son maintained a 3.7 GPA as well. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of narratives are being pushed by people with huge platforms across social media that want to make this a race issue by saying that Austin was a 4.0 student that was deleted by a thug. You know, the same old playbook, right? And with me being the honest and fair person I am, y'all, I just couldn't let it slide. They were both smart kids with promising futures. And if the roles were reversed, I would say the same thing. You know, it's like they automatically wanted to make it seem like Karmelo was beneath Austin academically by rounding that 3.7 GPA off to the nearest 10, when in all actuality, they were both on the same level academically. So let's just keep it real, be fair, and be honest about the whole thing. You don't have to make it seem like one was above the other when it came to academics, especially when it's not true. Now, with all of that said, let's shove the academics to the side and let's talk about the most devastating thing in regards to all of this, and that's the fact that two men have just lost their lives. You have one that will never be here in the physical flesh anymore, and you have one that may be going to prison for a very, very long time, if not life. So on April the 2nd, which was last Wednesday, a conflict ensued between Karmelo, Austin Metcalf, and Austin Metcalf's twin brother, and it all had to do with the tent. So they were all attending a track meet, and Karmelo Anthony attended Centennial High School, I believe, and Austin Metcalf was from Memorial High School. And so it started raining during the track meet, and Karmelo Anthony decided to take cover, but he took cover underneath the Memorial High School tent. Now, according to witnesses, Austin entered the tent that was reserved for his high school, and he saw Karmelo there. And he asked Karmelo, "What are you doing in this tent? You don't belong here." And so the two of them began to argue. And somewhere during the argument, Austin decided to put his hands on Karmelo. And Karmelo told Austin, "I dare you to put your hands on me again," while reaching in his bag. And so Austin grabbed Karmelo, and Karmelo pulled out a black poker and poked him in the chest with it, unfortunately, right? Now, all of this transpired around 10 a.m. that morning, and by 10:53 a.m., Austin was pronounced deceased. Now, it's being said that the Austin twins were known bullies, right? I can't confirm or deny that, but that is what witnesses are saying as it pertains to this case. A lot of people are asking questions in regards to why Karmelo had a poker on him at school anyway, and there's just a lot of layers to this. Now, Austin's father, Jeff Metcalf, has came out and adamantly stated that he doesn't want to make this a race thing, that this is not a race thing at all, and he's asked people to refrain from being racial as it pertains to this situation. He doesn't want to politicize this at all. Now, Karmelo's father, Andrew, spoke to the New York Post, and he said that his son wasn't the aggressor and that his son didn't start this, and he feels bad for the family, but again, my son didn't start it. Now, what was absolutely glaring and bone-chilling to me is the fact that when the police tracked down Karmelo after the unfortunate incident took place, the police radioed in that they had the alleged suspect in custody, and Karmelo turned to them and said, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Now, even though I don't know the tone of voice Karmelo used when he communicated that to the officers, but I just get this sense it could have came from a place where he really meant what he did, and it could be a result of the rumors that are out there that say this wasn't the first time he was picked on by the Metcalf twins. Now, there are also rumors that Austin smashed Karmelo's phone and used derogatory and degrading terms towards him as well. And I don't need to go into deep details to explain to you the type of derogatory terms that were thrown Karmelo's way. Now, it's important to note that Karmelo did show a sense of compassion, and he asked the police officers, was Austin going to make it? Was Austin going to be okay? So what I want to do right now is play you guys a few clips, and I'll be back.
Let's go.
Yeah, I understand. Best I can.
But yeah, there was. You can see, you can picture what happened when what was coming out of his chest, and
yeah.
Y'all can visualize all this stuff. I don't want to put down my mom right now, but I pushed my hand on there, trying to make it stop, and I grabbed his head and I looked in his eyes. I just saw his soul leave, and it took my soul too.
I am so angry at that boy. And it's just not fair. That's all I have.
I understand.
I'd like to say it's forgave, not forgotten, but I'm not at that point yet to forgive that kid for what he did to my brother. Because, 17 years, my best friend just there, and in the blink of an eye, I lost him.
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see this. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So just that's just what I saw. And I tried to help him, but
it was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over that little argument. It's just crazy in this world nowadays how people just up and do that. Like a man has a family. That man has people that care about them all the time, and he did everything for our family too. He was a strong man. He was a strong kid.
I want to clarify something right off the start because I've already heard some rumors and some gossip. This was not a race thing, and this is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this.
It's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being. I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there. I know the truth. So unless you were there, unless you saw it, don't spread gossip.
Just to ask you this one question, like I had mentioned, the self-defense argument made by the suspect. What's your reaction to that if that's used in court or used?
As a defense attorney, they're going to try every avenue. That's their job. The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened. My own son told me what happened. There was never a punch even thrown. So I don't care. There was never a phone broken. We've never had contact with this individual ever. So unless you were there, I don't appreciate all the gossip and all the mistruths that people are speaking at this moment.
Is that shocking to hear or read, or at least hear from me, say that that's what he told police after that moment?
No, what do you expect? If you're caught, the best thing you're gonna do is try to lie your way out of it. Now, I'm not saying he's a liar, but the truth and the facts, justice will prevail. It has nothing to do with me.
The Austin Metcalf at the track meet is a tragedy. I can acknowledge that. I can acknowledge that that is something that should not have happened, right? The problem with these kind of conversations is when context is added, people just like to overshoot that to spread narratives, right? But the context in this conversation is very important, right? And this is from the police statements. This is from police getting witnesses by him. There was clearly people that seen what happened, right? The police have reported that a witness seen the incident. It was raining. The boy was under a school tent, which is very important. That means the boys didn't own the tent. That means Karmelo didn't own the tent, right? And Karmelo was clearly sitting there. He was minding his business. Those boys came up to him and told him to move, okay? And in the midst of that, a conflict happened. The boy jumped up, pulled the out, and said, "I wish you would. I wish you would touch me." And the what's the name? Austin Metcalf went up and touched that boy. Okay, unalived him. Again, there's no justification for the.
literally just walk away or get the police involved, get adults involved, things of that nature, right? But this is really what I want to talk about. If you're going to protest for Austin Metcalf, you don't need our permission from black people or anything like that. As a matter of fact, he was arrested when they found him. He was charged when they found him. He wasn't taken to Burger King. He wasn't taken anywhere. Karmelo was not taken anywhere. He was taken straight into custody and he went straight to jail, okay? And immediately charged. There wasn't no conversation of, we got to wait till everything comes out. There wasn't no conversation of, oh, well, there's something. No, context was added. And in the context of this situation specifically, he was defending himself. Now, he's probably still going to see jail time because I know the system. I know that does not justify a boy or two boys jumping you. I promise you we have a weird justice system, but it doesn't justify it, right? He could have got up, he could have walked away. And that's my whole take on it. Really, I still want to wait for more and more information to come out, but this boy is not some crazy hoodlum that y'all are trying to paint him out to be. Of course, y'all have waited for something like this, right? To justify your hatred of people.
So the latest story that all of conservative media is outraged over is this one, the story of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf being unalived by 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony. And if you search this story on Twitter right now, you're going to see all the conservative influencers using it as an excuse to be racist. So I decided to actually look into the story, and it's very clear that they're not giving you anywhere near all the details. So if you give me just a couple minutes, I'm going to break everything down for you. So the current narrative being spun by conservative media is that Anthony randomly attacked Metcalf after he simply asked him to leave their tent at a high school track meet. But I want you to listen to the details of what happened from Metcalf's brother, who was also there, along with at least 2 other people. So minimum 4 people in their group, and Anthony was by himself.
And this kid said something behind me. I've never met this kid in my entire life. I never knew who he was. Said something just inappropriate and uncalled for. When I turned around and asked him who he was, he started getting really aggressive. My brother stepped in. He started being, how he always does when his brothers just having my back. And things started getting more higher intensity. And the kid said some aggressive stuff, reckless stuff. Also trying to handle the problem.
Austin was always one to step up. He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing.
So things started getting aggressive and Austin stepped up to handle them? Well, that seems extremely vague and could mean a million different things. And look, I'm not an expert on high school track meet tent etiquette, but why exactly was it such a big deal that this one guy was in the tent?
And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
A lot of stuff gets stolen just like that, just precautions and stuff.
Oh, I see. So did you think he was stealing something? And if your coaches didn't want him in there, why didn't you just go tell the coaches so they could take care of it? But enough from the family. What do witnesses have to say? Well, according to 2 different witnesses, Austin Metcalf approached Anthony and told him that he would need to move from under the tent. Now, according to multiple witnesses, after he said, hey, you need to leave the tent, Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said, touch me and see what happens. Now, after that happens, Metcalf reportedly then touched Anthony, a witness told a responding officer, and then Anthony told Metcalf to then punch him and see what happens. Soon afterward, the witness said Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, at which point the affidavit continues, Anthony reportedly pulled out what witnesses recalled as a black and stabbed Metcalf once in the chest. And this case is very new, so we're going to get a lot more details, but so far it appears that Metcalf approached him first, touched him first, and then grabbed him first. But it also appears that Anthony might have been trying to bait him into doing this because Texas is one of the idiotic states that has a stand your ground law where you have no duty to retreat. So while you have people like Dan Crenshaw on Twitter saying that, oh, because this happened in Texas, this guy's going to face real consequences, I would say it's much more likely that this kid actually went through with it because of the terrible laws you guys have in Texas. Because no matter what details end up coming out, I can almost guarantee you that the defense Anthony's going to go with is stand your ground because he's already said, I'm not alleged, I did it, I was trying to protect myself. But yeah, there you go, that's the details so far. So can we maybe this time have like a real conversation about why these things happen instead of just, being on Twitter?
All right, so you guys just saw and witnessed all of that, and unfortunately, this shouldn't have never happened, but it's no different from a kid that decides to grab a pew-pew and go to school and take out students and faculty. As a matter of fact, that is more on a demonstrative level than what transpired here, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for what happened. It was just wrong, and that young man lost his life. But this is the thing, I do have some questions, and the first question being, like, why was Karmelo walking around with a poker in the first place? Was he expecting some type of confrontation to ensue, particularly with the twins? If so, that would support the argument that there had been some incidents that had took place between them in the past. Also, I have some questions surrounding the brother. His story is a little bit vague and it comes off a little bit deceptive, if I'm being honest, because there's some things that he's not talking about. He knows exactly what happened, and as a matter of fact, initially he did not tell his father that his brother was the first person to actually be the aggressor in the situation. He never said anything about his brother putting his hands on Karmelo. Now, here's my opinion about the entire situation. If the twins were so butthurt that Karmelo took cover underneath their tent to get out from the rain, even though that tent wasn't reserved for his school, then they should have went and got the coach to handle the situation, or any adult, right? Now, I was told by somebody that lives in the area, and I can't confirm or deny this personally because I wasn't there, that there were coaches and teachers that were interviewed after this situation took place, and they told police that they wouldn't have never had a problem with Karmelo taking cover underneath their school's tent. And so this was just a situation where there were teens that were asserting their dominance over a particular person, and they was trying to prove a point, basically trying to punk Karmelo. Now, as far as how Karmelo handled the situation, I feel like if somebody put hands on you, that gives you the right to put your hands back on them. You squabble it out like young men and you handle business, right? Now, my mom always told me, never run from anybody. Go ahead, put them dukes up and go for what you know, right? But that's my situation. If Karmelo felt outmatched, he had the opportunity to go get a coach as well and tell the coach what was happening and things like that. But when you look at this whole ordeal in its totality, you just have two teens that decided to take matters in their own hands, and unfortunately it ended badly. Now, we know that Karmelo was immediately arrested. There was no going home. There was nobody that had to come out and protest about it. He was immediately arrested and his bail is set at $1 million. Now, there are GoFundMe accounts that have been created in support of each family, with the Metcalf family raking in about $300K up until this point, and Karmelo Anthony's family has raked in about $80K in support of his defense. Now, again, this situation is just unfortunate, and I want to hear from you guys. So drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you're new here, consider subbing to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Peace.